So good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today for the Johns Hopkins School of Education Master of Education in the Health Professions, also known as MEHP online information session. My name is Sion John. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Also here with me, I have my colleague from the Office of Admissions, and he will introduce himself.
Thank you, Sion. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here with us today. My name is James McCarty. I'm the Associate Director of Admission here at the School of Education at Johns Hopkins University. I just want to say welcome, and I'm excited for all of you to learn about our Master of Education in Health Professions program today. Thank you, and back to you, Sion.
Thank you, James. And also presenting today, we have Professor and Faculty Lead of the MEHP program, Dr. Tony Ungaretti. We also have guest speakers, faculty members, alumni of the MEHP program, and current fellows, and you'll hear from them later in the presentation. And before we get started, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping topics. Keep in mind today's webinar is being recorded. We'll be able to share the link to the recorded video within 1 week. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Please type your question in the Q&A box, and we will answer your questions. Next, I would like to share the agenda for today's information session. During the presentation, Dr. Ungaretti will cover the MEHP partnership program within Johns Hopkins University. She'll go over the program details and requirements. Admissions will go over the application requirements, financial aid, and scholarships. And you'll also have the opportunity to hear from our faculty, alumni of the MEHP program, and current fellows. And lastly, we'll open up the floor for questions at the end. So at this time, I'll hand the floor over to Dr. Ungaretti. Welcome.
Welcome, everyone. I'm delighted to share with you the MEHP program and to explain some of the details of that program with you. I'm going to stop sharing so I just can say hello. Hi, nice to meet all of you. And we're going to get through this process. And if you have questions, please type them in. And we have somebody monitoring, and they'll be providing answers as we go along, but also we'll provide answers at the end. So the MEHP program is a collaboration. It's a very unique program in that 5 schools at Johns Hopkins University came together to create this program so that we can really address what we understood to be the real needs of health professions educators. We have the 5 schools, and we have partners within that school that all work closely together to give you the best kind of experience you can possibly have in terms of preparing to be a future leader and change agent in this arena. The mission of this program is to prepare interprofessional leaders and change agents to globally transform health professions education through evidence-based teaching, sound research, and impactful leadership. And we take this mission very seriously, and we try to be better at it every single day. The hallmarks of this program are we are an interprofessional experience. Every aspect of this program is thought of and delivered in an interprofessional fashion. Faculty, experience, and fellows. The program is flexible, asynchronous, and online. We try to be flexible because we deal with busy professionals and their schedules. So we work as closely as possible to make sure that we can meet their needs without disrupting their lives too much. We have a strong record of success with our graduates, and you'll hear some of that success later in this presentation. And we have a supportive, engaged, global community network. We don't think of ourselves as a program, we think of ourselves as a community of fellows, faculty, and alumni supporting each other, advancing health professions education. Whoops, Specific characteristics of the program is it's fully online. We don't have a residency. Our coursework is immediately applicable when you go back to work. We have an interprofessional faculty, but we also co-teach our courses, so you have the experience of two different faculty with two different backgrounds, sharing and building on your readings, videos, and experiences. We have an active network of faculty, fellows, and alumni who support each other and connect with each other for research and career growth. We have strong technology support for the program. We have a capstone project that allows you to pull all the aspects of the program together and apply it to an evaluation or research study for publication. And we also have a portfolio, which helps you monitor your progress across the entire program. Our community consists of the various professions within health. And our community is designed so that each of these professions is represented in the literature, in the experiences, and is open to any fellow from these various professions. Our program is a 34.5 credit program. It consists of an 18 credit core, which when finished, you also earn a master's degree, a postmaster's certificate, excuse me, in evidence-based teaching. And then it has a 16.5 credit specialization, which is focused on research or leadership, or you can customize the specialization for your needs. And when you finish that piece, then you earn the Master of Education in the health professions. The program also has a capstone, in which you are connected to an individual faculty member to guide you through a research study or an evaluation project. And it has a program portfolio, which allows you to monitor your progress in terms of meeting the goals of the program and your personal goals. In terms of how much time does this program take, we have two different tracks that people tend to follow, but they're still flexible. It's still flexible within those tracks. We have a 1 course a term track, and in that time, you take 3 courses. You take 3 courses across the year, and in 2 years, you earn a certificate, and in 4 years, you earn a degree. If you take 2 courses a term, you speed that process up, so you earn a certificate in 1 year and a degree in 2 years. The one thing that we try to be very clear about is this is a real graduate program. It is rigorous, it requires focus and attention, and it takes at least 10 hours of work a week for each class you take. So when you're thinking about, are you a 1 course person or a 2 course person, think about it in terms of what your schedule allows. Typically, the people on the 2 courses a term are people who have protected time in their schedules, and they can then focus on this program. We'd rather you go slower and be successful than try to go too fast and not do well. The timeline for this program, so you can see it visually, is you enter the program in an onboarding experience in the summer, and that takes about, it takes 6 weeks. It's asynchronous, it's online, it's non-credit. And then in the first year, you will take 9 credits of work and you'll focus on the core courses. In the second year, you focus on the remainder of the core courses and you complete that, what we call that certificate after those 2 years. If you're on the 2 course track, you'd complete all of that in 1 year. Then when you enter the 3rd year, you're going into the specialization. And the specialization, again, focuses on leadership, research, or a combination. And at this point, you also begin your capstone. And you work on this through year 3 and year 4. And you earn your degree at the end. If you're again on the 2 course track, you can accomplish everything in year 3 and year 4 in 1 year. And so you finish in 2 years. To understand what you're studying in each of these aspects of the MEHP program, we have the core, and the core consists of 18 credits. And we have it listed here as 2 years. Again, if you're taking it 2 courses at a time, you will finish this in 1 year. So this is 18 credits. Once you finish the certificate, then go to a specialization. This is our leadership specialization, where you take the required courses and then you select elective from the elective list. We focus here on really understanding the idea of leadership in terms of you as a leader and you as a leader within an organization. And then how do you apply that? In the research specialization, the focus is on how do you do effective educational research. We spend much of this effort focused on quantitative studies and reviews because these are where much of the educational research is conducted. We also include quantitative work, but many of you all already have a lot of background in quantitative work. Again, you take required courses and you take the electives. One thing I should have said when we talked about the the core of the program is that the core really focuses on understanding you as person, you as teacher, you as professional educator, and then building on that foundation so that you then study adult development and learning theory, and then you look at the various aspects of education. We have instructional strategies, curriculum development, assessment and feedback. We have educational scholarship, and we have evidence-based teaching. And these are important pieces of the aspects of being a teacher. This sets the foundation on which you build these specializations. The third specialization we have is building a customized program where you would pick courses from each of these options and put them together into a package that works for your particular career path. To understand how our courses go across the year, we start with onboarding, and then we have 2 fall semesters. We have a fall one, which goes from August to November, and that's a 12-week semester. And then we have a fall 2, which goes from November to January, and that's a 6-week session. This whole fall session covers from August until January with time off for the holidays. In the spring, we have a similar situation. We have a spring 1 that goes from January to April, and a spring 2 that goes from April to June. Again, it's 12 weeks and then 6 weeks. This is a typical pattern for the program throughout the program, and we typically have summer off, except if you are on the 2 course at a time accelerated 2-year program, you need to start the capstone after your first year so that you can finish in that 2-year time frame. So there is a small capstone course in the summer for those people who are on that track, or people who got off track and must complete the capstone sooner rather than later. We will put them also in that track. Now, the thing that's really important for you is what happens to our graduates. What are they like? What happens for them? How does this help them? They can now approach their teaching as scholarship. They know how to assess learning and plan for assessment. They know how to build innovative curriculum, and they know how to teach both in person and online. As a matter of fact, many of our fellows and graduates were called into service by their own schools to transform their teaching process from in-person to online during COVID, because they knew how to do it and they did it quickly and effectively. They know how to integrate appropriate technologies. Technology is great, but all technology isn't for everything. So they know how and what technologies to put into their educational lessons. And finally, they learn how to use their education as scholarship. They learn how to make it into scholarly presentations and into publications. When we talk about them as innovative, productive researchers, they understand the research needs that need to be addressed. They know how to choose appropriate methodologies, methods, instrumentation, and they know how to construct IRBs. They can conduct sound research and/or evaluations. They know how to disseminate their findings. They know how to lead educational research initiatives, and they know how to secure funding. When we talk about them as transformational leaders, they can advance change through visionary leadership. They know how to lead organizational change and educational innovation. They advocate for multidisciplinary, interprofessional learning. They serve as effective mentors and models. They provide leadership locally, nationally, and internationally within organizations and also within their professional organizations. And they know how to secure support to advance education. They become advocates for education within their institutions. Now, where do our fellows come from? They come from these institutions across the United States. You can see that there's a variety of institutions, and we draw fellows from strong institutions and fellows who want to make a difference in health professions education. But not only do we attract people from the United States, but this is a global program, and we attract people from across the globe. So a sample of some of the institutions from across the globe include this group. Both of these are really samples. That's not everyone. We just wanted to give you an idea of the scope of the program in terms of the various kinds of perspectives that are brought into the program. We are a global community. Our faculty, our fellows, our alumni are across the globe. And together we meet when we can at conferences. We meet in locations. Before we were interrupted by COVID, we had a dinner in Abu Dhabi with 18 people from the program coming to the dinner, and we were connected to a conference that was there in health professions education. But we look for opportunities to connect the community. We have our fellows and our alumni and our faculty share when they're going to a conference, and when they share that, others say they're going to be there, and we find ways to connect. Small groups will connect for coffee or just to touch base. Large groups could be for a dinner or even for a reception. But we are a global community that supports each other. And if you need something and you contact an MEHP, and we can even help you make the contact, they're always there to help you. Samples of some of our graduates' career achievements are these. Many of our graduates, since our program started in 2011, some of our early graduates have risen into very high ranks in terms of health professions education. We have a dean, we have many associate deans, we have assistant deans. We have many people who have risen from assistant professors up through professor. We have people who are directors. We have people setting up medical schools in third world nations. We have people transforming their medical schools, both within the US and across the globe. Our fellows projects have made a big difference. An example on this page, we have Craig Goolsby. He designed a process for applying tourniquets and teaching large populations to apply them in situations such as 9/11. And his invention and his approach has actually been adopted by the Department of Defense and is taught across all military services right now. To give you a sense of that, Brian Garibaldi was one of the leading physicians in terms of addressing COVID issues, and he was President Trump's, one of his physicians during that process. Mike Malinowski is a Fulbright scholar. Rachel Solis is a Macy Scholar, an AOM Scholar, and probably 6 more scholars that we don't have on the list. Michael Ryan has just been appointed Associate Dean of Faculty at the University of Virginia School of Medicine. Marjorie Jenkins is Dean at the University of South Carolina, Greenville. Syed Saab, he's one of our newest graduates, just going to graduate this May, has just been appointed Clerkship Director, Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Columbia. And did I forget any? Oh, I think I got everybody. Okay. The thing that's important to us is that we are transforming health professions education. And so we're trying to secure promotions and career advancements for our graduates. We want them to rise into leadership positions. We want them to publish in leading scholarly journals. We want them to be selected for funded scholar positions. All of our graduates are showing that they have this, they've accomplished these kinds of things in their careers after they've left our program. They've been awarded funding for innovative projects and research. and they're literally changing health professions education across the globe. Another example is one of our fellows has just returned from Sierra Leone, where she is working with helping reduce maternal mortality through a grant that Johns Hopkins has connecting the university with the medical staffs on the ground in Sierra Leone. There's opportunities here and our graduates take advantage of them. Our graduates are sought to lead things. Now I'm going to turn this over to Sion, I didn't say that correctly, excuse me, who will now explain the admissions requirements for you.
Thank you, Dr. Ungaretti. So now we're going to continue by going over the application requirements. Please keep in mind that applicants are required to hold an advanced degree, master's or higher in the health professions or a related field from a regionally or a nationally accredited college or universities. Applicants must submit a completed application, which can be found on our school's website. Keep in mind the application fee is $80. We'll need official transcripts from all post-secondary institutions you have attended. Again, we'll need all official transcripts, including institutions you may have taken courses but did not receive a degree. An essay, a current resume, 2 letters of recommendation. And please know we are currently accepting application for the MEH program, and the application deadline date is June 1, 2023. Next slide, please. And there are a few additional steps you need to take in order to complete the application process if you're an international student. If your degree was completed outside of the US, you will need to complete a course-by-course evaluation. Additional information can be found on our school's website. You'll also need to submit a TOEFL or IELTS score. And then the ECFMG certification can be sent in lieu of an international transcript evaluation. Again, if you have any questions regards to international student admissions, please visit our school's website. Next slide, please. And the tuition for the 2022-2023 academic school year is $1,495 per credit. And also keep in mind the tuition rate for Johns Hopkins University and Johns Hopkins Hospital and Health System employees is $850 per credit. Please keep in mind, if we do anticipate the tuition for the next academic school year will increase. For additional information on tuition and fees, please visit our schools. And if you're interested in applying for financial aid, we strongly encourage you to apply for financial aid when you start your application. The School of Education offers a limited number of partial need-based institutional scholarships each year. SOE's endowed scholarship awards range on average from $500 to $1,500 per semester and are applied to tuition expenses beginning in the fall semester. To see if you qualify to apply for the endowed scholarship, please visit the grants and scholarship page on our school's website. And at this time, I will hand it back to Dr. Ungaretti.
Thank you, Sion. Now we're going to hear from our community. We're first going to hear from our faculty, and then we'll hear from our alumni, and last we'll hear from our fellows. First, I'm going to have each person introduce themselves and then to share with you their perspectives on the program. And so we're going to turn, and I'm going to start with Michael Amendola, who is a professor of surgery. Michael.
Thanks, Tony. Mike Amendola at VCU, just south of Hopkins, 2014, 2019 at MEHP. Great program, can't say enough about it. Being a busy surgeon, it was a fantastic community to join. And I look forward to the dynamic and to the conversation here. But can't say enough of good things about this program or about the people in it. Many of them are on this call that were mentored by me, but also mentored me. And it's a community and a multi-generational educational collection of people who have a similar vision and goal. So I look forward to the dynamic and to the conversation and to the questions. Thanks very much.
April?
Thank you, Tony. So I'm April Fitzgerald. I'm an internal medicine physician at Johns Hopkins. And when the list of the different institutions came up for where the learners are, I think Hopkins might not have been on that list. But actually, many
It wasn't, because I assumed they would know it was Hopkins.
Yeah, but many of the people actually in the program are from Hopkins, and that might not have been as obvious. So a lot of us, so I'm faculty and also went through the program from 2012 to 2016. And a lot of the cohort itself were Hopkins individuals. So I think that's important to point out.
Thank you.
Yeah, so a lot of them are from Hopkins, but then also a lot of them are from outside of Hopkins. So it's a nice mix that way. And what was wonderful about the program for me as I was going through it was I did already have a lot of opportunities to teach at the med school and teach residents, but until I went through the program, people would just say like, well, how did that, teaching session go? And I'd be like, well, I guess it was okay. I mean, that's nice. And going through the MEHP gave like a lot more structure to how I prepared and how I evaluated it and just how everything went from that point forward. And every class I took in the MEHP, I would develop something new that I could then apply immediately to my teaching. So it was wonderful. And now I teach educational scholarship in the program.
Thanks, April. Emily?
Hi, my name is Emily Jones. Along with Tony, I'm one of the other full-time faculty members in the School of Education that's associated with the MEHP program. I've been teaching the program for about 3 years. I teach a lot of the core courses and the research methodology courses. I think, this program, I hope Tony gave you a great idea of sort of the overview of how the program works. But the thing that I think is really impactful for our students, and I see this with so many fellows in their first and second year, is that we do a really good job, I think, being intentional about forming a sense of community in the program. And so I think that that's really meaningful for fellows in the program because, I kind of know the roadmap of where I'm going and the high level goals that I'm going to get there, but that ability to connect with peers in our courses and find commonalities with people across the country and the world who are working on some of the same sorts of things as you are and encountering some of the same sorts of issues, I think is really, really helpful and sort of starts to make an impact in the fellows' lives and teaching and their sense of themselves as an educator almost right away. So I think that's really powerful. Thanks.
Thanks, Emily. Julie?
Hi, I'm Julian Peretta. I teach the Instructional Strategies 1 and 2 course and had the pleasure of getting to work with the MEHP program as it was being built. I will say, sadly, I went and got my formal training in education before the MEHP program existed. Otherwise, the letters after my name would definitely have been different because I think this program is so good for creating a healthcare education community. Where I think it's very easy to feel like you're in a silo. And my involvement with the MEHP program now, getting to teach in the instructional strategies, is it lets me stay connected with a wide array of educational programs as well and impact a lot of healthcare education needs on a global scale. And I really do see the fellows who are in the program getting a chance to recognize that there are other individuals with similar problems, other programs that are addressing the same challenges that they have, and being able to connect with others, get connected with ideas and best practices. And I think one of the things that we learn is that if other people are addressing the same challenge, we don't have to build everything from scratch. And so being able to connect and not have to start from the ground up or feel like you're, you know, sort of in isolation, I think makes such a big difference to the fellows who are in the program.
Thanks, Julie. Mike Malinowski.
Thanks, Tony. So Mike Malinowski, one of the vascular surgeons in Milwaukee at Medical College of Wisconsin. And I was kind of very much like Michael Amendola. Mike was my capstone mentor, and everybody on this call from faculty, I have some relation to, some mentorship, some level of community. And I did the program in 4 years. I was one of those nights and weekenders. I would reach out to Maggie when I've been up for 32 hours in a row and say, Maggie, I think I missed this call today. Were we supposed to have a Zoom or not? And she would say, it's okay, it's tomorrow. And I would move on with life. But, you know, it was also in the way that the community and the ability to do the work, it was so fundamental and so needed. I didn't realize for years I'd really been starving for the education that I got through this program. And it's great that I get to help with capstone instruction now. But it was a 4-year program. And at the end of kind of each day or end of each weekend, I kind of got that piece of chocolate from the program of getting a really necessary nugget of information to go ahead and do this. In my 3rd year of the program, I actually got appointed by our dean to head our curriculum evaluation committee for about 850 medical students at 3 different regional campuses in Wisconsin. It accounts for about 1,000 medical students in the state. And we redid the 3-year and the 4-year medical school curriculum, and that's due to launch this July. And it's been a huge ongoing project. I wouldn't have had that ability without this program. It gives you the ability to do the work, to have the community, have the research to back up your methods. And it just gives you the language and kind of the standing to have the confidence to do it. And I think that's really so critical. But the other side of it that everyone's been talking about so far is the mentorship. I actually just got interviewed by our institution for the Fulbright grant that I received, and it was really painful getting through the Fulbright peer panel review commission and getting through the hoops through the Department of State. And they were interviewing and kind of talking to me about the program. I'm going to Uruguay in about 3 weeks to help with medical education in South America. And really the whole article that's written up is about my mentors. It's really not about me. It's about everybody who helped me get to this point because I just did the work. But there's just such great leadership that is in this program and associated with this community that I think the sky is the limit. So it was fantastic.
Thank you. Kathy, you want to share?
Sure, yes. Hi, I'm Kathleen White, a professor emeritus from the School of Nursing. I've been associated with the program for almost from the beginning, probably not quite as long as Julie was, but maybe a year after. And I'm so committed to the program that, as you can see, I'm in my car driving, and I had to participate in this webinar just to be able to share some of the involvement that I've had with it. I teach in more of the leadership specialization aspect of the program, and some of the community that others were talking about, we try to build in those specialization courses through case studies and things like that. So when Mike was sharing, he was just appointed to a committee like that. One of the case studies that we just finished in the first leadership course was being appointed to a search committee and the leader's role in that. So those are the kind of things. I've had a long career in service leadership and then academic leadership, serving as program director for a Doctor of Nursing practice program at the School of Nursing, and then also had the opportunity to go down during the healthcare reform to work at HRSA, at the Health Resources and Services Administration. They paid Hopkins for my time, and I went down there and helped to write rules and regulations for the programs for the Affordable Care Act. So I've had a great career, and I love sharing it, the leadership development that can come through your commitment in healthcare.
Thanks, Kathy. Next, we're going to hear from our alumni, and we'll begin with Danya.
So great thing about the MEHP is that despite being an alumni of the program, I keep forgetting to unmute myself when I speak, despite everything that we've tried to learn in the pandemic. But being an alumni of the program has been fantastic because it has allowed me to really learn how to advance in the world of medical education. I'm an emergency physician, and it has allowed me not just to advance in the world of emergency medicine education, but also to recognize that there are doors that I didn't even know existed that can be opened up for us to work in medical education curricula. I've been consulting with a group, and we've worked on not just physician education and paramedic education, but also for ancillary health services. And it's just incredibly eye-opening to see how many tools we learn after the program to allow us to excel in these roles. And as Tony talked about as well, a lot of our medical training talks about quantitative research, and qualitative seems like something that we never talk about, but through the hybrid program, I was able to learn more about qualitative studies, and my capstone was actually just finally recently published. So thank you to the MHP.
Thank you, Danya. Jim Lewis.
Hey, I'm Jim Lewis, and thanks for having me on this. They keep allowing me to come back, so it's my privilege for sure. So I'll talk some about the transformational experience of the program. For me, it really allowed me to expand beyond the clinical profession of surgery, and it opened up doors at my home institution and probably away institutions that were not available to me before. To me, I came in a little bit late, 46, and I was really looking to feed my intellectual curiosity, and the program was transformational and validating. So now when I'm looking around for maybe career positions as I continue to get older, it's not in a surgery discipline, it's in an educational aspect. So that's been fantastic. And I would also say, from a perspective of horizons, my horizons have been broadened not only to working with multidisciplinary health professionals, but in the areas of diversity and inclusion, from a human being aspect and a humanity aspect. So as long as they keep asking me to come around, I'm going to keep coming back, because the other thing I'll say is Tony and the faculty are phenomenal. They're great examples of what I would want to be when I do grow up. And it is purely a privilege to even had this experience. So I'm grateful, and will keep coming around.
Thank you, Jim. Is Emily Ray on? I don't see her. Okay, Misha.
Thanks, Tony. Hi, everyone. I'm Misha Sayed. I finished the MEHP in 2018. As you can see, I'm a professor of ophthalmology. And I recently, and I credit the MEHP to a large degree with getting my foot in the door for this, but I recently was given the opportunity to serve as an assistant dean in our School of Medicine. And my focus is on the clinical curriculum in educational affairs, so overseeing the 3rd and 4th year curriculum. And we have a pretty large class of about 230 students a year. So it's, it's basically dealing with a large medical school. It's University of Texas Medical Branch. And so it's been a really amazing, I think, path since finishing the MEHP, because this degree opens doors. I think you should think of it as a gateway degree. Okay, so like this is the thing that when people see that you've accomplished a master's of education, specifically in the health professions, you're automatically on that track. Like other people have been saying, you're automatically put at a different level than applicants for the same positions, or for the same grants or whatever you're going for. It really does set you apart. So I would just make sure that you think of it that way if you're considering applying, because it really does give you a trajectory that you may not have otherwise. And I feel very grateful to the faculty and the leadership of this program. And like others are saying, I still have ties with people on this call and make connections all the time when I go to different meetings, educational and not. I think just this is a really great network to be a part of.
Thank you, Misha. Roy?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Roy Stroud, a neurologist clinically at Wake Forest, and could not echo more what Misha said and other fellows. This program is just a phenomenal program to give you the tools to, take whatever you're doing as a teacher and really move it from being a great teacher to a scholarly educator. And I wanted to touch on a couple of pieces, maybe for that next step, for taking your scholarly education really to the level of being an education scholar. I did the research track and heavily interested and passionate about and invested in the scholarship of teaching and learning, and really was able to take my passion for teaching during the program and develop the language for how to speak as an educator, the network for who can help you with your work, and ask questions that are really scholarly questions that change not just the teaching that you're doing with your learners, but the way we're educating all learners across the field. And I think this is a program that really arms you with the tools to blaze that trail and to disseminate that work. So after graduating from the program in 2018, here at Wake, I was able to develop a program for all of our clinician educators to do that. The Health Professions Education Institute here at Wake, which helps teachers around our institution really take their passion for teaching and the questions they have from the classroom and develop their own scholarship. I was fortunate enough to be named Assistant Dean for Education and Scholarship out of that work, really with the tools and the lingo and the network that I had created through the program. And you can blaze trails with this degree. So a year ago, was able to work with our subspecialty organization, the American Academy of Neurology, to develop a new journal, Neurology Education, which is dedicated to medical education within the neurological fields, and I'm now editor-in-chief of the journal. So a great network and program to arm you with the tools to blaze those trails.
Thanks, Roy. Michael Terrio.
Yeah, so my name is Michael, and I'm a PT monk physician by training. And what I do now is I spend about 75% of my time as the director of student learning at Georgetown. And luckily, it's a fully remote position. And then I spend 25% of my time clinically at St. Jude as a PT monk doc. And there are kind of three things that really jump out to me in terms of benefit from this program. It really was, one, for those of you trying to get your time bought out for like more medical education stuff, there are a lot of people in medicine who are interested in education and want to work in it, but this degree makes you a lot more serious as a candidate and much more attractive as a candidate too. Because I just shifted literally, I think about 3 weeks ago to this like part-time clinical and more med ed. And this degree, I think, played a huge role in the interviews I got and the offers. Because, lots of people say they're interested in education, but you actually put in the work and you have the credential to prove that when you're on that kind of hiring path. The other two big benefits to me are, one, just how fully remote this was, because I was able to do this when I was a clinical fellow, which is very busy. And then the third thing is just with the capstone, it can be very helpful for career development and very serious too. I was able to get mine published and get an external grant for it and all that good stuff because of all the support from this program. So those are kind of the three big things I would take away. Like, one, for job prospects, two, fully remote, and three, your capstone is like very legit, not just a program requirement, is how I would put it. So
Thanks, Mike. We're now going to hear from our current fellows, and they know the real dirt in terms of what we do and what we don't do. And I'll tell you whether we support them or not. So Jen, I don't know if you have to get off on early, or do you have to get off early?
Thank you so much. My son just arrived, so it would be great timing if no one else would mind.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm Jennifer Nill, and I'm a board certified family nurse practitioner. And after earning my doctorate in nursing, I was approached by a colleague and asked to teach as an adjunct lecturer. Now I'm available to several different institutions. It just kind of depends on what they're offering as to which one I choose. I felt like I was able to go through the motions. I could support the learners, but I was in a silo. You've heard that word come up a few times today. Joining MEHP was the greatest thing I could do for my teaching. And now I'm learning evidence-based strategies, doing so with a group of people that are interested in scholarly discussions. And it's really changed how I approach teaching and learning. I'm taking one course at a time, almost ready to enter my third year, and my capstone is starting to take shape, and I'm loving it. I look forward to it. I no longer feel isolated, but supported, and I'm part of the global community that Tony referenced, and part of a group of people who want to make the future better. I've made a lot of friends. You've heard people talking about networking. Definitely true. If your experience is anything like mine has been, it'll be the best thing you could have done for your teaching career, regardless of how long you've been teaching. So I hope you'll consider it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Jill?
Yeah, hi, my name is Jill Amsberry. And I'm just going to briefly summarize, I think, what a lot of people have said. The MEHP program to me helps me teach evidence-based medicine in an evidence-based manner. So I'm a general pediatrician and work in a community-based practice at CentraCare in St. Cloud, Minnesota. We're about an hour and a half northwest of the Minneapolis area. And I have been teaching medical students and residents for quite a long time now, about 15 years, and have always felt like there was a gap in this process of me teaching evidence-based pediatrics and me teaching in a way that felt right, that seemed like it was the way that I was taught and that worked for me. And so that's the way that I will continue to teach. And that worked well, but I felt that gap, which led me to looking for additional education in that area. So I applied to the program with that in mind. And then coincidentally, the University of Minnesota, who I had been adjunct faculty for with the family medicine residents in our area, worked together with my institution, CentraCare, and we are now building a medical school, a regional medical school in St. Cloud, Minnesota, with an effort to serve our rural population, as we see that our rural population is aging and we do not have providers who are going into rural medicine. So this program has been instrumental for me. People have said it before, but as I learn things week to week, I implement them immediately in my day-to-day work because I always have students with me, and I'm regularly providing lectures, or now I call them educational sessions, to my students. And it's just been nothing but extraordinary. I wasn't sure what to expect when I came into the program. I wasn't sure how intense it would be, and it's certainly vigorous, but I'm learning all of these things that I didn't know I needed to learn, and it's exciting and applicable. And as everyone has said, this is really a community and it's a supportive environment. And I look forward to taking the feeling that I get from this educational environment and putting it into the community feeling that we'll be building within our regional medical school. So I'm just happy to be here.
Thank you, Jill. Jeff?
Hey, everybody, I'm Jeff. I'm actually a fifth-year orthopedic surgery resident right now out in Toledo. Maybe a little bit different than the other people in this program in that regard. I started at the beginning of my residency, which was probably an overambitious move for a new starting surgical resident. But I hope my experience maybe gives some people who are interested in the program a little bit of a perspective that you can do the program one class at a time, very manageably with a busy schedule. Things that really excited me about it were that it was completely asynchronous, but also paced well to kind of keep me on track. Everybody was very understanding if I had a busy week or had to take extra call because somebody got COVID. They always kept me on track and supported me wherever they could. And I will echo a lot of the things that other people have said as far as being excited about being at the end of the program. My capstone is about medical student education in orthopedics. And a lot of the things that I've learned along the way seem like such small things, but you're really learning how to speak the language of education and do things structurally more than just individual one-on-one teaching. And a lot of the things I've been working on, I sort of just take for granted. Like maybe this is just something cool that people in orthopedics would like. And it is a very big deal now. Our Academy's journal has kind of preliminarily accepted my proposal to publish. There's a couple of programs kind of talking to me about coming there for a job to sort of implement that. So echoing what some of the other faculty currently are experiencing, I think it has really helped me out with my fellowship. spot, and then also for job applications as well, because as somebody else had said, everyone's a little interested in teaching, but you're really showing a commitment to it by doing this. And I feel I've gotten way more than I bargained for out of it. And I've been very happy.
Thank you, Jeff. Deborah?
Hi, everyone. My name is Deborah Dalmeida. I'm currently Associate Professor and Co-Chair of the Department of Pathophysiology at the American University of Antigua College of Medicine. I am one of the MEHP fellows who's on a 2-year track. I've taken the educational leadership specialization. I just completed my capstone. My project was on the effect of interactive multimedia modules on academic performance. My capstone instructor is one of the panelists here today, Dr. Malinowski. To describe a little bit about my journey, it's been one of self-discovery and growth, if I had to put it very concisely. And that's been largely due to the heavy emphasis on reflection in this program. One is constantly challenged to stretch one's thinking, exposed to colleague and faculty perspectives from multiple disciplines. And there is a laser focus on application to workplace settings. So learning occurs in a very collegial environment where I've always felt supported by both peers and faculty alike. So this optimal balance in the program of both challenge and support is something that has truly led me to enjoy this feast of both learning and leading.
Thank you, Deborah. Mark, and Mark is coming to us from Wednesday morning in Australia.
Yeah, I'm coming to you from the future. So I add a little bit of an international flavor. I'm a 4th year in the program, 4th year in the one course track. That kind of saddens me because I feel like I'm coming to the end and I'm losing the community. But I guess as you can see here today, we have a whole lot of alumni who have come together, and so I feel like that community is maintained. I guess I just wanted to say a couple of points. One is that to reiterate how valuable I have found this community, the relationships that I've developed and the learning that I've gained from my fellow students has been invaluable. I guess the second thing to say is that the generosity of time and expertise of the faculty is just beyond my expectations. They've helped me so much, particularly with the capstone. So my capstone was on a faculty development project, and we ran a workshop to, I guess, increase the knowledge of evidence-based teaching for emergency physicians across various institutions in New South Wales and Australia. And the faculty all volunteered their time to run that workshop for me. The third thing to say, I guess, is the concern that I had prior to starting the program was, will I actually have the time to complete the program? I think as you've worked out, well, there's various surgeons on this panel that have, obviously they're working 100 hours a week and they're able to complete the program. I will say that it is a flexible program. It's asynchronous, so you'll be able to fit in the work within your own schedule. And the other thing to note is that every assignment tends to be a project that you have to do in your workplace anyway. So you can turn that project into an assignment and I guess apply the theories that you've learned during the program into your actually work. So it ends up being a very practical degree. I think we're probably out of time. So thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Mark. I'm going to ask one more person to speak. Rachel came back, and Rachel is a graduate and a faculty member. So I'm going to give her a minute to share her experience.
Yeah, hi everyone. I was lost in cyberspace, so that's always fun. And I'm not able to turn my camera on just yet, but yeah, I kudos to the program. It's been phenomenal. I'm still very involved. Even after, so the community keeps on going. There's many opportunities to teach, mentor, and just connect. Everywhere we go, there's someone from MEHP. And I can say it was pivotal for me in anything that I've applied to either during the program or even after the program. So I did the course one class at a time. I think I even took summers off, so it took me a little longer. but you know what? I made it through. And one of the things that I think is important to say is that when you're in the program, at some point you always say like, yeah, I'm getting my master's in education. So everyone around you is like, oh, that's awesome. And then at some point you say, yeah, I got my master's of education. And so, you know, you take as long as you want, you know, that makes sense for you and you can do it. There was no difference. I didn't notice any difference where I felt judged, where they said, oh, you're just in it right now, like you haven't finished it. So I think it's important to say that, because I think people think that you don't get benefits while you're in the program, but that's definitely not true. And I'm happy to, you know, if anybody wants to reach out, I have any other questions, but, you know, I was one of those that I took my time, and I'm always one for a BOGO, a buy one, get one. So as a clerkship director for projects that I was going to do anyway, I made those assignments as part of the course. So when I was in every class, something that I was doing was something that I needed to do anyway. And so, you know, I'm all about, again, getting the biggest bang for my buck. So why not get some pure insight and some fabulous insight from your professors, and it's just going to make whatever you're doing a lot more, it's just gonna make it a lot better.
Thank you, Rachel. So now you've heard from our community. This is a few of our members. We're 500 plus across the globe, and the community is there for each other, as you can tell by their what they shared with you today. We're going to go into a Q&A for just a couple of minutes, and we're going to try to answer all your questions. If we can't do that, we will post answers after the session ends. So I'm going to ask Emily, Sadiq, I don't know who wants to share any questions that come up or that haven't been answered in the chat.
There's one question that maybe you can give some details on. It is about the certificate option and whether it is needed to complete the master's degree program. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely, Sadiq. The program is designed to be scaffolding, and the scaffold is you complete the certificate and the rest of the program builds on the certificate. So the first 18 credits of the master's degree automatically is a certificate for you. So we tell everyone to register, or if you're applying, apply for the master's degree and the certificate simultaneously. When you graduate, you will get both simultaneously. If something happens in your life and interferes, you can't finish, you can always have a certificate in evidence-based teaching and cap it at 18 credits. So they're not separate, they build on the master's builds on the certificate. Does that help?
Yep, I think so. Thank you so much. So all the other questions has been answered. And if we have a frequently asked question list, we can go from there.
Okay, thank you so much, Sadiq. Anything from our typically frequently asked questions, Emily, that we should share now that wasn't covered?
Tony, I wonder if you could give them a little detail about like what are the first courses that they would do in the program, because I think that those first courses, both the onboarding and foundations, really helps get people into the MEHP community and meet their peers, their fellows. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about those two courses.
Okay, we have an onboarding course, and in the onboarding course, we give a taste of the whole program. So in the onboarding course, you learn about the technologies you're going to need to do. You also get to meet the faculty in the program. We have a week that focuses on teaching, a week that focuses on research, and a week that focuses on leadership. We begin the program with really helping you understand you. What are your values, beliefs, and experiences that have made you into the teacher you are the day you walk into the program? It's important to know that, because we want to take that teacher and make that teacher the best person that person can be in terms of teaching and leading and doing research. We don't want to make you a cookie cutter into any of us, but we want to take who you are and help you enhance who you are to make you the strongest teacher, researcher, leader you can be in health professions education. So the experiences that we have are to really have you hone in and focus on who are you as a teacher? Who are you as a leader? Who are you as a researcher? And based on that, then we begin to use that as a lens to look at adult learning and learning theory. And by doing that, then when you finish the first adult development and learning course, what happens is you begin to frame your own philosophy of education so that that philosophy will carry you forward with what's important to you, taking the pieces from those theories and building your own approach to education. Did that cover it, Emily? Okay. And we use that then, once you have that foundation, then you can study instructional strategies, you can study curriculum development, you can delve deeply into evidence-based teaching, you can look at assessment and feedback, and then you cap all that with educational scholarship, which is taking what you've learned about education and framing it so you can begin to work towards a capstone. You can see all this as scholarship and move forward. So that's why that foundation is, you don't see electives. It's absolutely, we want you to go through those steps and those stages, because that gives you the foundation for your growth as a leader and a researcher and a teacher going forward. Okay, anything else we should address, or did we cover everything? We got it. Okay, next I'm going to we're going to go into questions and answers, and I'm going to flip this to questions and answers. And oh, we did that already. I'm sorry. We're going to go to the end. And I'm going to, if you have any issues or questions, Maggie, I'd like you to introduce yourself. And Maggie is, as you heard several people mention, she's the glue that keeps us together.
Hi, everybody. I am just delighted to present this webinar and to hear all of these testimonies. But I do have to say that it's a really big decision about placing an application. And if after all of these testimonials and all of the questions and everything that got presented, you find that you still have questions, please contact me, and I will be very glad to help you however I can. Or, it's guide you through this decision process, or at least direct you to the help that you need. So anyway, excited to be here and excited to have this opportunity to present to you.
Thank you, Maggie. And we're going to ask James McCarty, who is our Associate Director of Admissions, to share his thoughts.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I would just like to congratulate you all again for being here today. I think, you've all done the most difficult part. You've taken that first step to learn more. And I look forward to capitalizing on that motivation and working with all of you alongside Maggie through the admissions process. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out. And my message to all of you is that you're never, ever going through this process alone. And I think that is definitely clear from all of us today. You really have a strong network and a cohort with us here at Johns Hopkins. So thank you so much.
Thank you, James. Sion, you want to close us?
Sure, I can close us. Well, thank you so much for your interest in the Johns Hopkins School of Education. And thank you so much to our speakers today. And of course, Dr. Ungaretti for the wonderful presentation. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.